Hello, and welcome back to Dragon's Dogma. Well, this time we're going to delve deep, from heaven to the center of the earth, into the Everfall. So let's jump right in. We're pretty much going to go top to bottom, skipping one certain floor, but that'll come at the end of the video. Each floor you have to land yourself, and then make your way in. First up is the Chamber of Anxiety. This one's not too bad. It's mainly just a big gaggle of undead. Pretty simple. And the white summons the rest of the room. Quite a bit of reinforcements. Luckily, that's such a nice skill, because it has a really good knockback to deal with casters. Alas, hard to reach the white. He'll get his, though. And I have no idea how those meteors reach into this chamber, but bravo. Oof. A direct hit right out of the air. And once they're on the ground, whites are pretty easy picking, as you see. Now we're going to move on to the next chamber. Yeah. Next, the Chamber of Absence. Oh, and that lovely sound means hellhounds. As well as geosaurians. Lots of the chambers kind of have a theme, and this one is fire. Yeah, hellhounds are so incredibly annoying. Luckily, we have a frost arrow to kind of cool them off. I love it. The extra ones, if they can't find their target, they just spin randomly, and it managed to smack the other one in the face. Now, chambers can have multiple rooms in them, with multiple monsters. This one's filled with grim goblins, and goblins are really fun to put explosive bolts into for that reason. Delightful. Now, here I'm going to show off a way to game the chest system. The chests in the Everfall used to have the rarest loot in the game. Now they can be found in Bitter Black Isle, but after you kill the dragon, you get the God's Bane blade. And using this, you can alter the loot. The loot has a percentage drop, as you see. We have Steel Nut Salve, Fulgurous Lord Tomb, and Giant Coin Pouch. Now, you saw I saved before. Now we're going to off ourselves.
Open your eyes!
And by reloading, the loot will have changed. Here it's a very slight change, but Steel Nut Salve, Fulgurous Lord Tomb, and a Wakestone Shard instead of the money. The rarer ones have very low percentage, like the rare equipment has like 2 or 5% chance of dropping. Very low. Very tedious. Luckily, it's outclassed by Bitter Black, so really there's no need to stick around here very long with the new game. And here we have some Saurian sages stuck to the wall. Let's dismount them. Saurian sages are caster types, and they are weak to dark, not ice. and they are pretty nasty. And in fact, they can heal each other. And they have pretty good defenses as well. Like the Sulfur Saurians, they like to cloak and hide. Oof. 2 Maelstroms. Overkill. Just slightly. But man, does that look cool. Whew. Now, in the other section, we have an Archhydra with a legion of undead zombies. Luckily, we can make short work of zombies with the Holy Bolt. The Archhydra is a tougher customer. It's similar to the Hydra we saw before, except just a bit meaner and a bit tougher. And a lot more health. An interesting thing I learned. The word toxin comes from the Greek word for bow. Hercules slew the Hydra in the legend and dipped his bow and arrows into the Hydra's blood, poisoning them. So his bow was poisoned after that. So that's the origin of the word toxin. Interesting. Also similar to the Hercules legend, the Hydras in this game are also weak to fire. And they can also eat a man whole. However, the Arisen is no mere man. We can fight back. But yeah, that's how Hercules killed the Hydra. Was by using fire to cauterize the stumps where the head was. Luckily, unlike Hercules, the Hydras don't regrow 2 heads for every head that's cut off. Only 1. Thankfully. Yeah, this Hydra, it takes some time. I'm still not quite outfitted to properly deal with them. The best thing I can do is explosive bolt. And do that little flame leap. Yeah, every time you hear that really thick noise when I hit it, that means I'm hitting not a weak spot, so it's not really effective. As you can see, as the battle goes on, the Hydra gets more and more bloody. It does that with all monsters, pretty much. It's just easier to kill the Hydra. Ooh. Luckily, the meteors do quite a number on it. And if you can manage to get every head off, yeah, nice. There's 2. If you can manage to get all the heads off, it actually becomes very vulnerable for a time. However, that can be tough if you don't have much fire damage. Yeah, here we get him off, and he runs over maximum. But he's completely vulnerable now, and we make use of it. Oh, finally. I wonder how it tastes. Now, moving on to our next lovely Chamber of Fun. Chamber of Remorse. It's always fun. You gotta be careful when you're walking into the chambers, because it takes some time for things to load in. So, you could end up running into a chamber full of grim goblins or something. You can see there are certain pawn vendors in certain areas, and they sell really high-end equipment Oh boy. A golem and grim goblins. Now, while my arrows don't hurt the golem, it can still stun it, which is always useful. And I even managed to knock it down, though I did absolutely no damage. Yeah. The best way to deal with grim goblins is trying to stay away from their hits, because they can do a lot of damage. The rest of the fight, however, is just your typical golem fight. No real need to expand on that. On the bottom floor, though, we find more grim goblins and a lovely cyclops. I love it when the giant green herb pops out of their bodies. Yes. Explosive bolt's just so damn cool. Can't handle it. The cool thing is, if they're close enough to each other, they all... Nice, nicely done. If the explosive bolts are close enough to each other, they'll all chain detonate. Very handy if you manage to land them all in the same spot. A Mohawk unicorn. Interesting.
This place feels like no other.
Whenever you walk into a chamber like this, you know it's going to be serious business. As it is here. 2 cockatrices and a gaggle of grim goblins. Not to be fucked with.
First strike shall be mine.
Now, the nice thing about this fight, however, is that the cockatrice will... They're getting stomped on. The other one would have joined in if he wasn't dead. The cockatrices actually turn everything else to stone as well. So they actually petrified a couple of grim goblins for me, too. There you saw a little evil eye, and they're like miniature gazers. They cast some small magic. They have a physical barrier, like the larger eyes, but no tentacles, and they're much less durable. But they can be quite annoying because they're kind of hard to spot. In the middle of a big battle, they can go unnoticed for quite some time. Here we're loading up the cockatrice. Oh, too high for a run by. The explosive bolts are pretty much my go-to. Unless somebody has other tactics for a magic archer, which I'm very open to. That stuff with the explosive bolt, it's just so nice. So we've defeated cockatrice number 2. And on we go. Now, there are 15 floors to the Everfall. 16 if you count the Chamber of Confusion, but that can only be entered once when you first arrive here. On we go to Tragedy. As you can see, I picked up the Mohawk Unicorn Man. We'll see how good he is.
Be ready.
Oh lord. Here we have a horde of succubus. And a phantom. Terrible. The phantoms, you need to deal with them with a large... Oh god, I'm jumping. The phantoms are best dealt with a large magic alpha strike, pretty much. You want your hit to be able to take them out for good. Oh yeah. You can see there are also some gargoyles thrown into this mix too. The Everfall chambers throw quite the mix of monsters at you, so you've got to really be prepared to handle anything. Because there will be monsters immune to physical, and monsters that are immune to magic, all in the same chamber, and you can get screwed. In fact, I do coming up here eventually. Here we are in another arena chamber. What joys await us? Let's see. Come on. Oh no. A gore chimera, a regular chimera, and either a white or a lich, which summoned a hellhound. Fantastic. Yeah, this chamber is not fun. Not in the slightest. Yeah, this pretty much sums up the experience with this room. Right here. Bit by a snake, licked by a goat, chewed by a lion, dragged by a hellhound. Just, it's endless. It is without end. This chamber is terrible. And so I evacuate myself. However, oftentimes these arena chambers have two sets of monsters. And when you exit and re-enter, you fight the second set. And here we have what I believe is a drake with a few harpies. Drakes are, while a bit fiery, it's much easier than two chimeras and a lich. We actually managed to kill this one, thankfully. Nicely done.
We survived the next encounter.
On we go. As you see, I have since ditched the unicorn Mohawk man. He actually had such a poor setup. And this chamber is nothing much, simply dire wolves and a harpy. However, we fight a worm. In fact, this place, this chamber, and the Water God Temple is the only place you can find a worm in the regular game. You might be able to find one in Bitter Black. I can't. Oh, it's just so fantastic detonating those. And then a maelstrom on top of it, just... it's like Christmas. And we get lucky, and he managed to dragon forge my daggers. Not bad. And here, wait, who is that? Oh my.
Hello.
Yeah, it's Guts.
Yes, Arisen?
And I can't resist.
You cannot take on any more followers without releasing one of your current...
Now, when you're picking a pawn up in the field,
I am honored to travel with you.
you're given that option. You can switch out a pawn with them. And then you say your goodbyes. In this case, I don't give an item, but I rank them. Top stars. Why not? She was useful.
I'd hoped to serve you adequately.
And you
May our
did.
paths cross again.
You're one of the only pawns that has ever survived, so you should feel lucky. Now, let's see what Guts can do after I refill my lantern, of course. Must always be well lit. Let's move in. God, Guts is cool. Let's see what he can do. On another arena. And this one looks like a Lich and a Metal Golem. This is a very bad setup because we have two sorcerers, a magic archer, and a warrior. However, the magic golem has medallions that are up in the air. One neat thing to note, the maelstroms actually suck stuff into them. As you can see, the lich was being dragged in, as well as the medallions you see are being sucked in. Interesting. That's one way to handle the metal golem. It can actually suck the medallion towards you. However, we still can't reach it, so... However, the lich comes down a little too low. I'll pump him full of explosives, and then... Oh yeah! Mid-air detonate. Beautiful. Oh, just so wonderful. We deal with the lich. Alas, we are physically incapable of killing this metal golem, so, well, yeah, it's kind of futile with that one medallion up in the air. We call it quits after that. However, this chamber, like the others, has a second set. This one comes with a Cyclops, a regular golem, which we can actually deal with, and an ogre, but the ogre is off in the back doing his own thing right now. So let's load up the Cyclops' face. Seriously, if anyone knows any other Magic Archer combos, just tell me, because I don't. Let's do what we did in Cyclops to the Ogre. Now, remember how tough Ogres were before, when we first encountered them with Sir Byrne? Yeah, they are not so tough these days. In fact, that's all it took. Those explosive darts really did the trick. In the next chamber in this area, there are some more specters. And we also found the last wake stone. So we now have 20. We can move on, but we choose not to. We're here to defeat the Everfall. Now I've switched to Ranger, because we've neglected Ranger for so long. I forget. I apologize. Got some new pawns as well. I'll show you how I disposed of the previous ones at the end. Here we run into a very similar chamber to what we saw before. However, this one's different. This one's not simply undead. This one is a lich, a hellhound, giant undead, as well as undead lords. And it gets pretty nasty. The giant undead are durable. The hellhounds there knocking people over. The skeleton lords are pretty tough. And the lich can heal them all, which is terrible. Luckily, I love that deathly arrow. It sounds like a gun when you're firing it. Luckily, once we clear out the lich's footmen, we make short work of him. I always like those nice, simple, single room chambers. They're pleasant. When they get too big, they're multiple rooms, lots of really big ones. Terrible. This first room in this chamber only has tentacles. Now, if you'll remember, these tentacles were originally in the Everfall. So, we found their source. Another evil eye. Now, they are nasty casters. And they Love teleporting around. Right here it's charging up a spell, and when it's casting like that, it's actually weak and can be hit. Fortunately, I can't stun it. Not in time, anyway. Well, pretty much it's a... Oh my. Yeah, they can also eat you. Unpleasant, to say the least. But, he's pissed me off, so I'm gonna put a little something in his eye. That was Tenfold Fury. It's a ranger only skill, and it's quite nice. It's, especially good combined with blast arrows, which are those explosive arrows I showed you so long ago. It's actually a valuable technique used against bosses, even in the end game. Those little evil eyeballs have a physical attack of their own. They come and try and take a bite out of you. He makes a mistake. He tries to cast a spell. And it was his last mistake. And we're really churning through it now. On to resolution. As you can see, the chambers become more and more positive, I guess, as you go down further and further. Here we find a couple of ogres with undead. Oh. Yeah, not good. Luckily, I've got good pawns, even though I do get clotheslined anyway. But yeah, just stick them in the face and they go down like butter. It's ogre. Moving on, we find a single cockatrice? But here we go. A room filled with various kinds of saurians and a cockatrice. Luckily, as you can see, the cockatrice petrified a few of them. Quite nice. Always pleasant finding statues, unless it's your pawn. Oh yeah. I just love the sound of that deathly arrow. So good. Here we see we've actually enraged the cockatrice. Its head has become, well, it's become red and enlarged. Much like other phallic-shaped objects. Luckily, we've got, some meteors for him. And down it goes. But it still stays pissed off, even in death. Rigor mortis, I guess. And as you can see, they kind of give little hints here. The Everfall is actually a nexus between several worlds. Apparently this is how the pawns kind of travel? Either way, it's the connection between all possible worlds. Here we see something that can happen if you don't get a ghost off your pawns. Yeah, that ghost just ate our pawn. You can see there the staff attacks are different depending on what element it is. Those are holy attacks. And Mr. Satan's so oppressed by our holy skills, he takes a T-bow. And here we are at the last of the regular chambers, I believe. There's also, sometimes, on certain floors, there's some items. They're pretty much all consumables, though, so not very critical. Yeah, here we are, the final chamber, the Chamber of Hope. And what do we have? Looks like a bunch of zombies. Always gotta be careful though. You never know.
A stout undead.
Yeah, a lot of stout undead. Let's give him some presents. Gifts from the heaven. Oh, of course, the hellhound. Of course there's hellhounds. I knew this room was too good to be true. Terrible. Yeah, hellhounds are terrible to fight as a caster, as you can see. None of your attacks can stun them, really.
I'm coming to help.
Unless you use maybe a frost staff. Pretty much the only way. And here we have an example of not being able to kill something because of your setup. We have a mage and 2 sorcerers. Our fighter pawn was eaten by a goddamn ghost. And now we're fighting a gore chimera. Now, the snake is easy to kill. We just knock the snake off. The goat is weak to physical. And the lion is weak to magic. But the thing about gore chimeras is they can heal themselves. And this goddamn gore chimera just will not die. It refuses. And we just make less and less progress. Here I'm on his back, basically trying to tase it. And it's not working. My staff looks like a medieval cattle prod, and just nothing is working on this damn thing. Terrible. Yeah, this is pretty much a good summary of how it went. I get stomped on, and then it heals to full. We were physically incapable of killing it. Even with a cattle prod, nothing would work. So, now we move on to the final chamber. This is a special one. So, I'm going to show the offline version first. And since I don't want it to take forever, only slightly less than forever, we go in with our buffer guy. Now, it's still going to take forever because I'm choosing to do this the hard way. There are certain weak points on this that are very difficult to reach without a bow or spells. However, it is possible. Many people say it's impossible. They're wrong. Here we are in the Chamber of Lament, and the first thing we see is, well, a big purple flame battlefield.
Very well, Arisen.
Yeah. 3 possessed pawns that are aggressive. Once they're dead, the Dragon shows up. Now, this is the offline version, so we have him all to ourselves. However, the rewards are also less. Now, the Dragon looks like a regular dragon, it's just gray. However, this Dragon is pretty much coated in hearts. He has consumed quite a few Arisen. Now, the way to kill it is we need to beat down each heart one at a time. Once they glow and explode, that means that heart has been destroyed. He also has some nasty attacks, like that is a Mystic Knight spell. Yeah, unpleasant. He has all the moves of the dragon as well. But this is probably all you're gonna see if you're a melee vocation is you grappling it and slapping him. Now, you're only hurting him if you see purple come out. If you see gray liquid come out, that means that heart is already dead and you're not doing any damage. So so you need to move on until you see purple again. Yeah. Always good to see explosions. When he's casting, that's a good time to go for his legs, because it knocks him down out of the spell. But once his feet are destroyed, it's a bit harder to stun him. Yeah, that wind billow is also pretty brutal. There is actually a ranger augment that negates it, though. Now, one of the funnest places to hit him, I think, is on the face. His eyes start to glow. Unfortunately, his head dips us into that damn aura. But we don't give up that easy. And I love it when you kill the hearts on his brain. Looks really cool. As you'll notice, his jaw is still intact. Yeah, there's one under his mouth, too. As you notice here, his guts are showing. Yeah, his guts are also a weak point. You notice there's items on the ground, too. Every heart you destroy, he drops some items. Here we knock his guts out to expose the juicy arisen heart within. Nothing is safe. Now here I show that warriors can destroy the wingtips. There it goes. It takes some work and it takes some timing, but when he is casting spells, or when he is down, knocked out, you can hit them. Here we use Salome's Grimoire for some meteors. However, I don't think any of them hit. And here I am almost eaten. He's not interested in chewing though, just casting spells. It's quite difficult trying to get the one on his chin for the reasons you see now. He will just keep chewing on you. But eventually, we get him down to the last heart. Right on the tip of the tail. Oh, there's still gray coming out. Gotta move just the right spot. And in this one, it's past the heart. Come on, one more hit. There we go. Now, the Ur-Dragon gives a huge amount of experience. And people kill them just to level up most of the time. Here, we gain the offline loot for killing him. You're granted 20 wake stones, as well as some items. On top of all the parts and pieces that the Ur-Dragon dropped himself. Here we see his ugly mug. He must have been very old if we destroyed his hearts and it turned into this. Now, that was just the offline Ur-Dragon. Much less health and much less damage than the online version. Here we see our reward. As well, there's a tablet in the back. Check that out. He also drops holy weapons. They used to be the best in the game, and in fact the one I'm using right now is from the online Ur-Dragon. Now when you're offline, you see your results. As you can see, the last time I killed the Ur-Dragon was this time last year. And I have 13 total kills on this character. Now, we're going to take our main guy and go down and fight the online version. Yeah, we'll try our luck. The online version shares an enormous health pool. And you can only fight the Ur-Dragon, I think, in 10-minute bouts. And then he will fly off. You need to rest and come back. And then fight him again. And you continue doing that. Now the online version, everyone fights, does as much damage as they can, and then the dragon flies away. and then their damage is added to the basically the online health pool of the Dragon. Now, after enough time, obviously it's going to die. However, every time the Dragon is killed, that's one generation.
Then you have come. Very well, Arisen.
Yeah. Now, as you can see here, he shows up, and he's beat to hell. We actually get very lucky, and we find him almost dead. However, we are too weak to capitalize on it. The online Dragon is no joke. This is generation 476. That means 475 times the Dragon has been killed online. And this one's health pool is gargantuan. Terrible. Now, we get our asses kicked by this guy. Yeah, it's not even really a contest. We're a bit too weak. We come back and he died at another time. We missed him. We didn't get the kill. However, we did contribute, so we get a little something. And the more you contribute, the bigger your reward is. Our reward is very meager.
This looks interesting.
Just a Wakestone shards, a Seeker's token, and a meat.
If you feel a foe is beyond our means.
Now when you're online, the tablet shows the rankings of everybody. Quite a few people. And they're all mainly maxed out level. And these are all the ones that hunted the most recent one. And these are the overall kills. Look at these. The tablet of no unlife, I'd say. 373 Dragon kills. My god. Here's our way, our new way to dispose of pawns. The Great Sacrifice skill takes the soul of a pawn and launches it in a big-ass arrow. Fantastic way to get rid of it. My new favorite. And we hit Max right on the nose. So let's get our Korean word out of the way. It's ko, nose. So yeah, Great Sacrifice is just fantastic. If there's anything better than taking the soul of a pawn and using it as a projectile, well, I don't know. Look at that. Fantastic. And it's area effect too. Beautiful. Well, next time we finish it. I'll see you then.